Hey everyone, good afternoon. It's Mike here, the diving developer. Now, this is a strange video. I've not done one of these before, but it's a reaction to Rowan Atkinson's latest article. Let's call it an article where he says right here at the top, he loves electric vehicles and he feels increasingly duped. Now, we're going to go through it. This is kind of the first time. I have had a look at the first couple of paragraphs, but I knew I wanted to react to it in real time, so here goes. So if you're new here, my name's Mike. I am the diving developer, as you can tell by the title. I like scuba diving, also software development. I've been a small business owner for 20 years and a bit of an EV, a renewable energy aficionado, which kind of means I'm obsessed with the stuff. But, you know, this is kind of important as a planet. It's also an important time for us to move on and, you know, adopt some new technologies and have a better quality of life at the same time, right? Who doesn't want cleaner air, safer cars, cleaner cars, less pollution, and so on, right? Okay, so I am recording this live, so I might get interrupted by pets or whatever, but, you know, let's just see how we go. Okay, so this is the article here. It's on The Guardian, popular left-leaning newspaper. Sadly, keeping your old petrol car may be better than just buying an EV. There are sound environmental reasons to not jump just yet. Okay, I can see this picture here. Look, we got a Model 3 right here on the front. This is a Model 3, and it's driving across a rainbow into what looks like a scrapyard of doom. Okay, I mean, there's a Porsche in there. Fair enough. Okay, right. So we can see where the article's going to go from the illustration. Let me read this article. Electric motoring is, in theory, a subject about which I should know something. Okay, my first university degree was in electrical and electronic engineering with a subsequent master's in control systems. Okay, now, Rowan, don't take this respectfully. I don't think engineering is your thing. It might have been in the 70s. Oh, hello, Emma. What you think you know about electronic engineering and control systems may not be applicable to electric cars, but I guess we'll find out in a moment, right? Combine this perhaps surprisingly academic pathway with a lifelong passion for the motor car, and you can see why I was drawn into early adoption of electric vehicles. I bought my first electric hybrid 18 years ago and my first pure electric car 9 years ago, and notwithstanding our poor electric charging infrastructure, I mean, poor is a subjective term, it's getting better. But yes, in the past it has been really poor. I have enjoyed my time with both very much. Electric vehicles may be a bit soulless. So I guess what he's looking for is a car that goes, then that's the soul of the vehicle. So, I mean, look, I'm a previous V8 owning BMW driving guy, okay? So I get it. You turn the key and it goes, and yes, I mean, you know, everyone can hear that you have money to waste. You know, you can push the accelerator and it goes, and you feel like a man, right? Is that a soul? I mean, you know, a decent modern electric car, I mean, they are fast, they have instant torque, they drive like a dream, they are always at the perfect part of that torque curve. They are just wonderful to drive, honestly. I mean, anyone who's driven one will agree, generally speaking, right? Unless they have something to say, maybe they're Rowan Atkinson, but you know. They're wonderful mechanisms. They're fast, quiet, and until very recently, very cheap to run. But obviously that's talking about, you know, charging, you know, the price of electricity has gone up a little bit, which is true, right? Quite a bit, actually. But increasingly, I feel a little duped. When you start to drill into the facts, well, Rowan, we're going to get into some facts, okay? Electric motoring isn't quite the environmental panacea it's claimed to be. Right, let's just go for something right now off the bat, okay? If you, you know, buy something, I mean, just the very nature of living, in fact, okay, is environmentally unfriendly to a degree, okay? Someone has to make the clothes I'm wearing, all right? Someone has to make this computer, this camera. It's all been made somewhere. It contains stuff that has to be mined from the earth, okay? Get to that later. But it's worth pointing out that everything is environmentally unfriendly. You could argue that the rubber on a bicycle tire is unfriendly, but it's about the opposite. It's about what it displaces, okay? A rubber bicycle tire is better than a rubber car tire, okay? This is kind of, we don't look at things just on their own and go, oh, that thing's really bad, without looking at what it displaces. We'll get to that in a moment, because I know where he's going with this. Right, let's go past a Michelin advert. As you may know, the government has proposed a ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel cars from 2030. The problem with the initiative is that it seems to be based on conclusions drawn from only one part of the car's operating life, what comes out of the exhaust pipe. Yes. CO2, NOx, really horrible particulates, carbon dioxide, other greenhouse gases. Electric cars, of course, have zero exhaust emissions, which is a welcome development, particularly in respect of air quality in city centres. True. But if you zoom out a bit and look at the bigger picture that includes a car's manufacture, the situation is very different. In advance of the COP26 climate conference in Glasgow in 2021, Volvo released figures claiming the greenhouse gas emissions during the production of electric cars 70% higher than manufacturing a petrol one. Now, this is true in that Volvo said, hey guys, if we want to make an EV, it's going to be more stuff involved in the creation of that vehicle than when we make our ICE vehicle. I'm not sure which of their vehicles they picked for this, probably one of their crossovers. It was a while since I read the report. But it goes into depth and says, oh, look, this takes more material. Okay, with respect to carbon, sure, that is true. But then when you look at the lifetime of the car, particularly if it's charged from electric energy, it essentially breaks even after a really short amount of time, actually. How so? The problem lies with the lithium-ion batteries fitted currently to nearly all electric vehicles. They're absurdly heavy, many rare earth metals, and huge amounts of energy required to make them. And they only last about 10 years. This is, sorry Rowan, absolute bollocks. I'm sorry. So this sort of concept, right? You clearly don't understand what rare earth metals means. Let's say lithium, it's not very rare at all. There's enough lithium in the Nevada desert, easily accessed, to power all of the batteries we'll ever want, ever. There's a ditto in Australia. This is not actually particularly rare. So, you know, we call them rare earth metals for scientific chemistry reasons. It's like saying that the theory of gravity is just a theory. It's like, oh, just some guy's guess from the bottom of from the pub or whatever. It's not a theory. It's a collection of facts. It's the same here with sort of rare earth metals. Okay, just putting that out there. Not all credibly rare. Also bear in mind, if you are going to talk about things like rare materials, like cobalt, for example, I haven't read the rest of the article. I don't know if he goes into it, but he's certainly taking a hit and a swing at batteries here, and a complete swing and a miss, because you can recover all of the materials that go into a battery. This is being done. So currently about 70% of lithium-ion batteries recycling capacities in China, but this isn't always going to be the case. So there's a company called Redwood in the US that recycles electric batteries. There's also companies starting up in the UK right now doing the same. You can recover all the material. The material in the batteries is very well highly refined ore, basically really refined material. So it's great, okay? It doesn't go anywhere. Whereas cobalt gets put in to the refinery to desulfate petrol, diesel, that sort of stuff, which is really bad for the environment, and you don't get it back. But I don't have a degree in control systems. Right, where was I? Absurdly heavy. Yeah, it's kind of a point, right? So you're saying absurdly heavy. So why are there electric planes running this technology, right? Why is it like you say absurdly heavy, but that again goes towards some more fear, uncertainty and doubt in regard to electric vehicles. As an example, I was asked the other day about my Model 3 that it's like really crazy heavy, right? It's not. It's less than 1,500 kilos, I think 1,300 kilos. We'll go look it up again in a minute, which is about 1,000 kilos less than the Audi Q5 and so on and so forth. Large vehicles weigh more, smaller vehicles weigh less. The Nissan Qashqai, really, really popular on the Isle of Man where I am, crazy, crazy heavy. It's like nearly 2 tons, right? Curb weight. So it's not necessarily the batteries. It's like bigger cars weigh more. And electric vehicles being a more modern thing means that they are sort of early adopter tech, you know, so they're loaded with batteries. They tend to be premium, which means that they're going to be the heavier ones. And then the lighter ones come next. In fact, if you want to stay tuned, I will show you a really small, really neat electric vehicle in Solar Sunday. So just hang on for that. I interview one of the directors of this car brand. It's going to be really cool. So stay tuned. Right. So, huge amounts of energy required to make them. Huge? What do you mean huge? Like refineries. Have you ever seen a refinery? Refineries are built next to power stations. Okay, you got a big power station, nuclear gas, whatever, and then you have a refinery built next to it. These refineries are the biggest customers of the power station, and that's to refine petrol and diesel. Like, instead of just going through this big, long, inefficient process, you could just use it to power vehicles that have batteries, for example. Okay. It seems a perverse choice of hardware, with which to lead the automobile's fight against the climate crisis. Okay. Compared to what, then? Unsurprisingly, a lot of effort is going into finding something better. Well, it's not like an unsurprisingly. This is called progress. Like, progress marches on. By the way, I will point this out. Actually, electric vehicles were there before petrol vehicles. That's a story for another day. But yeah, battery-powered electric vehicles were there before petrol. New so-called solid-state batteries are being developed that could charge more quickly and could be about a third of the weight of the current ones. But they are years away from being on sale, by which time, of course, we'll have made millions of overweight electric cars. Well, we can make underweight ones as well. This is my point. You can make cars to whatever weight you want to make them to. There is generally been a trend in the automotive industry towards larger vehicles, where people want bigger cars, taller cars, chunkier cars. This is not a great trend, to be honest, and we could do with some smaller ones. You can get small, lightweight electric vehicles as well as big, heavy ones. Literally, the distribution is there. Don't just pick on the big, heavy, whatever ones. Look at everything. It's a bigger picture. With rapidly obsolescing batteries. Rapidly obsolescing. Okay, right, so... Ooh, where do we go with this? Yeah, technology is constantly moving on. Since I bought my Tesla, which I don't charge to 100% because the batteries don't really like it. I only charge to 100% if I'm going a long journey. Otherwise, it sits at like 80, maybe 90. Tesla have launched the LFP battery. And the LFP battery loves to be charged to 100%. Great. This is a new technology. It's new. It's newer since I bought, my Tesla 3 years ago. It's just... How do I describe it? Stuff moves on. We have progress, okay? Just like we have newer technologies, we have newer medicines, we have newer everything. Batteries will move on as well. Like, they're always going to be better. So, it doesn't mean the old ones are now obsolescent and, oh my God, your EV is from batteries from 2017 and batteries from 2017 are not very good. Oh, it's much better to have the iPhone battery Pro Max 15 Ultra because this one can do this and therefore your one is rubbish. Again, bollocks, Rowan, bollocks, okay? Hydrogen is emerging. So hydrogen, please. If you talk about hydrogen with respect to things like propulsion of private vehicles and things, you clearly don't know what you're talking about. Look, hydrogen gas, whatever, it essentially works as a power storage mechanism. It's like a battery, right? So you've got two types. You've got the hydrogen fuel cell, and then you've got the essentially hydrogen combustion. So hydrogen is like basically the power cell of an electric vehicle, like the Toyota Mirai, which they're obviously selling loads of because they're doing so well. Which is emerging as an interesting alternative fuel, even though we are slow in developing a truly green way of manufacturing it. Yeah, because to make hydrogen, the primary way is to split water with electrolysis. So a couple of electrodes, tons and tons of electricity, zip through the water, hydrogen gas comes off. Right? So most of the hydrogen is done that way using fossil fuel power sources to make the hydrogen. And they call that blue hydrogen, by the way. You're being lied to. Yeah, blue hydrogen. Green hydrogen, in the Orkneys, they make hydrogen with the excess renewables that they have. I mean, great. Do it. Perfect. I mean, our solar panels are shutting down because everything that's in this studio, everything at work, everything at home, all our appliances, we're running even dehumidifiers, AC, the whole lot, 2 cars... 2 Tesla Powerwall 2s, everything is just completely full of energy and we're just producing way more than we need. So our solar panels are shutting down. Our solar panels are running at like 30% at the minute of capacity because, super sunny day and all of our needs are met. Well, could we not take the extra 70% and then just, make hydrogen with it? Well, maybe not, but I might be mining Bitcoin with it. Just because why not? You've got this energy. It's got to go somewhere. There always has to be a load. We can't just make energy and then it just sort of sits around. There has to be a load for it to travel to. So yeah, right. Maybe I'm being a bit slow here, but this is so annoying. The car manufacturer Toyota. Remember Toyota, because in 20 years' time, there might not be a Toyota. Here's a prediction for you, hot take. Toyota is going to go out of business, and then they're going to come back as a rebadged Chinese brand, like MG. Because Toyota, their leadership kind of seems to think that this drive towards net zero via electrification of transport is kind of like a I don't know what you would say, like, it's just a trend. It's not real. It's not really going to happen. This isn't the future. And therefore they're going to not do it. Waste of time doing it, right? Wrong. They're going to sell self-charging cars and just lie to idiots. Right. Such a system weighs half the equivalent lithium-ion battery. Well, I mean, let's just say this, right? So you have to have 300 bar hydrogen cylinders in the vehicle, okay? Now, when I travel with my scuba cylinders, I'm supposed to put signs on the back of the car to warn the fire services that there's like higher, compressed gas in here or oxygen-enriched air or whatever. No. Those cylinders are going to need to be serviced, maintained, filled at only specific filling stations. Hydrogen is being pushed by the fossil fuel industry because its business model is people have to drive regularly to this forecourt where they then buy this overpriced liquid and then they drive off. That's the business model. So they're going to change it from overpriced liquid to overpriced gas. But they're not, because that's not the direction of travel. Science is telling us that the world is going, it's just crap. And a car can be refueled with hydrogen at a filling station as fast as with petrol. Yeah, I will tell you something. Filling up with petrol takes a few minutes, right? You pull up, you get the tank, you've got to fill it, got to hold on and just fill this thing. Then you've got to go in and pay, and then you've got to get and drive out. Filling an EV takes zero time, all right? So I plug it in like I plug my phone in at night. So before I go to sleep, I plug my phone in or I pop it on a wireless charger and I wake up in the morning, it's full. Same with an electric vehicle. When I'm traveling, I use rapid chargers. I have to stop to pee. I love drinking tea. I have to go to the toilet. And while I'm in the toilet, my car's charging. I'm not waiting for it. Honestly, last month in May, I drove nearly 1,500 miles. Total rapid charging cost of £21. And most of that was charged off solar. Equivalent MPG of 400 MPG. If I didn't go on a road trip and I didn't, have to use rapid charging, then it would have cost me nothing and I'd had infinite MPG. What's not to like? I've not been inconvenienced. I've certainly not had to stand there and hold on to a flipping filling thing like you do with petrol and diesel. Not diesel shaming here, but come on. The ability or lack of ability to think critically, it just hurts our species, honestly. I feel like throughout my life, I've laughed at Rowan Atkinson's comedy, okay? I love his comedy so much. But I'm kind of like the pain-pleasure balance is being restored now. If the lithium-ion battery is an imperfect device for electric cars, it's a complete non-starter for trucks because of its weight. Well, tell that to Tesla and Pepsi then with the Tesla Semi. For such vehicles, hydrogen can be injected directly into a new kind of piston engine. JCB, the company that makes yellow diggers, has made huge strides with hydrogen engines and hopes to put them in production into the next couple of years. If hydrogen wins the race to power trucks, as a result, every filling station stocks it could be a popular and accessible choice for cars. No. You're only thinking that way because that's what you've been conditioned to think. You go to a garage and fill up. Let's say hydrogen was available now. Right now. Hydrogen's available. It's everywhere. Right? And everyone's driving. 9 out of 10 cars are hydrogen cars. Would I swap? No. Because my filling station is the roof. It's free. The sun lands here. It doesn't have to go through Shell and BP and their big shareholder profits. It just fills the car. Then, let's get on to hydrogen quickly. The efficiency, right? So you take your electricity, right? Let's say it's made from fossil fuels. Let's say it's made from renewables. It doesn't really matter, right? You've got this big bar, right? Imagine a battery, right? This, and it's full of power, yeah? Then you're going to use this much of your power to refine the hydrogen and process the hydrogen. And then when it's actually inside your vehicle, you then lose a good chunk as well. Or you could just take that power and then just power an EV with it. So much more efficient. I mean, look, like, let's just say the world's powered by renewables. We could have significantly less wind farms. We could have significantly less solar farms and so on. If we just don't go through this incredibly expensive step of, splitting water. It's really hydrogen, oxygen molecules. They don't want to break apart. Water. It's just H2O. It doesn't want to do the. So we have to smash it with electricity to make it go bang like that. Why? Why? But let's zoom out further and consider the whole life cycle of the automobile. I'm going to have to speed up in a minute because this is just taking forever. The biggest problem we need to address in society's relationship with the car is fast fashion sales culture that's been the commercial template of the car industry for decades. Current average will keep our new cars for only 3 years. Okay. And this is profligate. This is a big waste of resources. And when he was a child, a 5-year-old car was a bucket of rust, but not anymore. Okay. So what he's saying here is that you buy a car every 3 years and then throw it away like a pair of used underpants. But you don't, do you? Because a car that's 3 years old. My car is now 3 years old. I bought it from you. 3 years old. It's not broken. When I sell it on to someone else and someone else buys it, they're going to get a brilliant, like nearly new car. There's nothing really to go wrong in an EV. The batteries don't last 10 years, by the way. That's utter bollocks. I don't know where we've got the 10-year figure from. It's an awfully nice round number, 10 years. Like, oh, right, okay, where did you hear 10 years from? Not 9 years or 11. Sorry about that. Emma decided that she wanted to turn off the camera. Okay, so we're recording. Great. Right, the 3-year car thing. Right, absolute bollocks. What does he think that a second-hand buyer is going to do once they've bought a 3 or 4-year-old or 5-year-old or 10-year-old EV? Set fire to it? Just trash it straight away? No! This is the only time that trickle down is... Can you see my face? Can you see how angry I am? Sorry. This is the only time where trickle-down economics works. Okay? Because wealthy people, businesses, whatever, will buy a car. The bulk of the depreciation happens in those early years. Then they sell it on to the second-hand market. And then again, that owner then will sell that car on, again, to the second-hand market, even cheaper. The cars don't just vanish, Rowan Atkinson, okay? They don't just go poof, and you buy a new one, and then poof, waste of materials stay. What happens at the very, very end of life? Well, bear in mind that you don't really need to service an EV. I mean, traditionally you're servicing, come on, let's talk about it. Brake pads, brake discs, EVs have regen. Then we've got things like oil, plugs, gearbox, all the various fluids and oils, none of it. Drivetrain, transmission shafts and stuff, forget it, not needed. So it's kind of worth pointing out that, say you've got an EV, it's 10 years old, it's 20 years old, whatever, okay. Second-hand Nissan Leaf first-gen batteries are now finding their way into energy storage. You can take the battery packs, take out the good cells, use them again in some big energy storage system or a home energy storage system. You can buy home energy storage systems from second-hand electric car batteries, or you can recycle the batteries themselves and turn them into new ones. Like I said earlier, with the new technologies, you get a new tech. Okay. What's next? Oh, we're basically done now. We've 3 paragraphs. Shouldn't take long. Thanks for sticking with me, by the way. We need to acknowledge what a great asset we have in the cars that currently exist. Nearly 1.5 billion of them worldwide. In terms of manufacture, these cars have paid their environmental dues. Well, you say that, but every time those cars are taken to the filling station and another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 litres of refined petroleum product that had to be searched for and prospected, drilled, containerized, transported on ships running on basically crude oil. The ships run on the really nasty, slaggy stuff, those tankers. It gets to the other end, then it has to get refined using tremendous amounts of electricity. By the way, if we didn't have to refine fuel, we could just run EVs. I'll just put that out there. Then people have to drive to filling stations, fill up. Oh, come on. I mean, filling stations, by the way, sorry, they can get to tanker from the refineries to filling stations. The whole system is crap. Now, look, I'm not saying that if you can't have an EV, you're bad and you're a terrible person for driving a petrol or diesel car. No, I'm not saying that at all. Please don't think I'm saying that. My last Honda Accord was, it was three grand, 12-year-old Honda, diesel, occasionally a bit smoky, whatever. Just please bear in mind, though, that we shouldn't say, okay, look, because we've got this crap thing, we're just going to continue with that crap thing because the crap thing's what we've always had. When there's something better on the way, which everyone will eventually be able to avail themselves of. In terms of manufacture, these cars, it would seem right to look at carefully ways of retaining while lowering their polluting effect. Where fairly obviously we could use them less. We agree. An environmentalist once said to me, if you really need a car, buy an old one, use it as little as possible. Okay. So as an environmentalist once said to you, okay, so whoever that environmentalist was, I spoke to Rowan Atkinson, okay. An environmentalist once said, buy an old car and use it as little as possible. Okay, well, how about this? Buy an old car and don't use it. That's better. Or don't buy a car. It's better not to buy a car. Don't have children. Don't have a dog. Okay? Well, you know, a sensible thing to do would be to speed up the development of synthetic fuel, which is already used in motors racing. It's a product based on similar notions. What the environmental problem of the petrol engine is the petrol, not the engine. Well, the engine is an inefficient way. So like, look, you accelerate in an EV, you press the accelerator pedal down. Do you know what happens? Electrons flow at the speed of light. The vehicle starts to move. Very simple. Do you know what happens when you put your in a combustion vehicle? First of all, you've got that big tank, slosh, 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 and a fuel pump has to pump liquid down like a big straw into the combustion area, right? And then you've got to have actually electricity. Without electricity, it wouldn't run. And they go pop, 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 a little spark. And then that spark pops a little explosion in this little combustion chamber, which then pushes. And don't forget, old engines, they do lose a little bit of that because the seals start to break and wear and so on. And then that is how that drives a shaft, which is like being pushed, you know, maybe on 4 strokes, it'll be this, you know. And then that drives, goes through a gearbox and then gears turn. And eventually it makes its way to the axle. It's really inefficient. Even the best case scenario petrol engines come nowhere near their total order of magnitude. We're talking low percents for internal combustion engine. The majority of the energy in that fuel is wasted. Right. But yeah, I mean, Formula One, right, needs to keep its Formula One going. I think that's quite different. Plus, we also have Formula E, don't we? We also have the electric version. Yeah, see how that goes. I don't think it will go anywhere. Interestingly, I'm feeling like honeymoon with electric cars is coming to an end, and that's no bad thing. Well, it's not, right? The most popular car now is the Tesla Model Y. In fact, Teslas generally are getting cheaper, which is great. Pushes the whole market down. They're definitely a leader there. People want to buy electric cars. Like I said, you can run them cheaper. I mean, they cost less, which means you can buy a nicer car, right? If you don't want to have a car, that's fine too. They're also easier to drive, right? Automatics. Brilliant. Not even automatic. It's just pedal and go, right? You want to brake, take the pedal off. It stops. How easy can it be? It's like, there's literally more controls driving Forza on an Xbox than there is driving an electric car. Who wouldn't want that? Realising a wider range of options need to be explored if we're going to properly address the very serious environmental problems that our use of motor cars created. We should keep developing hydrogen. Sure. I mean, you know, private sector can develop whatever it wants if it sees a future or an opportunity in hydrogen. There almost certainly is a place for it. But hydrogen, like I said, if we have to shut renewables down because we've got too much energy not going anywhere, then yeah, split water. Just do what you want with it. But... You know, it's looking at the problem literally from the arse end. It's looking at the problem and going, oh, we need to keep things exactly the same. We can't do something better. What we're doing now is really inefficient, so we'll just do it inefficient because that's the way we've always done it. Friends with a more environmental conscience often ask me as a car person whether they should buy an electric car. I tend to say that if the car is an old diesel and do a lot of city centre motoring, they should consider a change. Why? Is it because diesel particulates cause cancer and harm children? I'm not diesel shaming. Again, like I said, we do what we can. This is the direction of travel, and it's a good direction of travel. But why? Who cares? I mean, you know, you put your recycle air on in the city, run your AC. Who cares what everyone else is having to breathe? Why is he recommending his friends do that? Because they have a conscience? Presumably Rowan Atkinson's friends are, let's just put it out there, pretty wealthy, right? I can't imagine that his friends are driving old cars. I imagine they're just, presumably when Rowan Atkinson has a barbecue, there's more than a dozen Range Rovers on his driveway. That's just an assumption of mine. But you know, Rowan, you've made a ton of assumptions in your article. I'm going to make an assumption about you there. Yeah, if you can get those people off those, that would be great. But but otherwise hold fire for now. Electric propulsion will be a real global environment benefit one day, but that day is yet to dawn. Rowan, that day dawned years ago. Thank you all very much for watching The Diving Developer. I certainly hope this recording works, because there's no way in hell I'm going to read the article and go through all this again. I'm going to put this into a video and whatever, and put it on YouTube and see. So anyway, if you like that, please consider subscribing. Not all my content is ranty, but if you do like the ranty stuff, I'm more than happy to oblige. It's been fun. Thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.